Hebrews 11, verse 1, is the most famous verse on faith in the New Testament. Now, I'm not a stupid person, but honestly, I never understood this verse. It is so complex, it is so abstract. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What in the world does that mean? The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I've heard people try to teach this verse. It's already complicated. By the time they're finished, it is really super complicated. So I decided just to open my Greek Bible and see what it said. That always helps. The word substance is the Greek word hypostasis. The word hupo in this case means by, and the word stasis is the Greek word which means to stand. Put the two words together, compound it, it means to stand by something. So a better translation is faith is standing by things hoped for. Well, that totally changes this verse. Get rid of that word substance. It doesn't make any sense. The Greek literally means faith is standing by things hoped for. And what you find is Hebrews 11 verse 1 is not a definition of faith. Hebrews 11 verse 1 describes the behavior of faith. It is the behavior of faith. Faith is like a bulldog that has found the bone of its dreams. It wraps its jowls around that bone, and like a dog that stands by its bone, when a person has found a promise from God, he stands by the promise that's been made. It doesn't matter how hard you yank or pull, he's going to hold fast. He's going to stand by the bone, stand by the promise. He will refuse to let go. Now, in order for that promise to come to pass, he's going to have to get into alignment. And when life tries to pull it out of his hands and he holds tight, that fight jerks the slack out of his life. And probably the fight helps to enable us to get into alignment. But now wait, there's something else in this text. What does verse 1 mean? Faith is standing by. Everybody say standing by. Standing by things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now look at verse 2. For by it, by what? By faith. Unbendable, unbreakable faith that refuses to move, faith that refuses to surrender. By this unbendable, unbreakable faith, the elders, verse 2, obtained a good report. Well, who are the elders? Somebody? People from the Old Testament. So according to verse 2, what's this chapter about? It's about Old Testament elders who demonstrated faith. They had a promise from God. They stood by it. They refused to let go. They stood by what God promised. So verse 2 tells us this whole chapter is about elders. But then look at verse 3. Through it, through faith, through this unbendable, unbreakable, never give up kind of faith, we understand the worlds were formed by the word of God, so that things that appear were not made of things which do appear. Wait. Verse 3 just told us the whole chapter was about people in the Old Testament. Now verse 3 seems to be talking about the act of creation. Are we talking about creation and God, or are we talking about elders in the Old Testament? And making it even more complicated is when you get back to verse 4, it jumps back to the subject of elders. So what is verse 3 doing stuck in this text? Here we go. Through faith, verse 3, we understand the worlds. Oh, amazing. This word worlds is not the word geis. The word geis would describe the creation, the planet, worlds. This is the Greek word ionos. The word ionos describes a specific allotted period of time within the history of mankind, like a decade or a century or a millennium. It is a specific allotted period of time that has a concrete beginning and a concrete end. So now the verse should be translated, through faith, we understand that different time periods within the history of man have been framed by the Word of God. But the word frame does not mean to create. It means to take something already existing and to alter it, to change it. So now the verse would properly be translated through faith, this unbendable, unbreakable faith that refuses to relent. We understand that different time periods within the history of mankind, those time periods were changed. They were altered. They were adjusted. And the Greek says, by those who received a word from God. That totally changes this verse. And that makes sense in chapter 11. Because what is chapter 11? The whole chapter is about men and women who in their life, in their generation, received a word from God. And because they held fast and stood by that word from God, they changed the time in which they live.